Peace. Assalamu alaikum. What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Atia, aka Tia, Tea Time Podcast. I want to introduce this conversation. It was absolutely wonderful and much needed, promoting Black love, Black unity, Black solidarity around this topic of anti-Semitism, which is a topic that the media doesn't handle very well and is not very well handled on social media either. So shout out to my beautiful guests. We have, of course, my husband, Matt Webb, aka Webb the artist. We have brother Trebor X from St. Louis. We have sister Breonna X from Dallas. We have my blood sister, Qadirah Muhammad from New Jersey. Now, I hope you all enjoy the tea. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, family, to Tea Time Podcast by Atia J. This is your self-help, spiritual podcast, uplifting topics we all love to avoid, but we definitely need to conquer. Tea time is your moment to pause, listen, and absorb what is soothing to you. I'm Atia J, aka Tia, a certified holistic life coach, and this idea was sparked by my passion to help others discover their latent potential, purpose, and significance, especially if you are one who feels overlooked, alone, or forgotten. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. I see you and I feel you. Welcome to Tea Time Podcast. Enjoy the tea. There go Ghost. All right, we're now recording. Assalamu alaikum. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Tea Time Podcast. It has been a minute, but we're back with another discussion. I'm excited to have a few guests on today, and I will have each and every one of them introduce themselves. At first, of course, the best guest, my daughter, Journey, in the screen, and my husband, Matthew, popping up in there too.
Matthew.
And today's discussion is very important. It's something that I wanted to do a while ago to talk about the Ye and Kyrie controversy. However, it came to my spirit to make it a little bit more relevant to the rising and the positivity within the Black community and our Black unity. So today's topic is, why are Black people vocal about anti-Semitism? And I'm excited for this just conversation. We're going to keep it open, honest, and respectful with one another, no matter our perspective, no matter our backgrounds. I would like this to be a conversation that we are having for the effort to promote Black unity, just like the minister gave a recent address about Kanye West or Ye and Kyrie. And a big chunk of his message was about Black unity and how it is so important for us right now to have these conversations with each other privately, not attacking each other, and for the growth and the strength and the unity of our people so that we can actually fight our open enemy and not be fighting one another, which is a waste of our time right now, big time. So thank you all for joining me in this conversation. I am excited. And I'll open it up for introductions. As you know, I'm Atia J, of course, of the podcast. And whoever wants to go next, go ahead.
I guess I'll go next since I'm in the same camera view with you. Mm-hmm. My name is Matthew Webb. I am the husband of Atia J. I am a independent contractor, electrician, and a recording artist. Was I supposed to say something? Oh, okay.
No, that's it.
Yeah. What's up?
Let me just take the virtual background off because it is not working for two of us.
I think it's something to do with like the center.
Yeah.
With the cameras.
I guess I'll go next. So I'm Sister Qadirah. I am Atia's sister. I currently teach foreign language learners English online, and I'm also in the process of starting doula work. And if people don't know what a doula is, it's like a woman who educates, supports, and advocates for women throughout pregnancy, labor, and sometimes postpartum.
That's what's up. That's good.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. Pardon me for not being on camera. My name is Mr. Breonna. I am a professional hair braider in Dallas, Texas, and I am a member of the Nation of Islam.
Man, and Bree is a return guest for those who have listened to my episode with her before.
Cough, cough.
Sorry about Trey. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. I'm Brother Trebor. I just go by Brother Trey. Either one is fine. I'm currently an anesthesia technician. Currently going back to school to get in school for nursing to be a first assist, of course, where I can actually do some suturing, hold organs, all that kind of stuff. So my thing is with the human body, and I'm just happy to be here. So thank you for the invite.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming on. I'm excited. I feel the spirit, and I'm excited for the minds that we have in here today. I didn't know you were an anesthesia technician, Brother Trey.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's
it's
pretty
cool.
Yeah. And I do want to start this morning. I had the fortune of listening to Minister Ishmael's lecture, his national lecture on NOI.org every Sunday. Our national headquarters of the Nation of Islam in Chicago hosts their lecture online. And I was listening, and I didn't even see the poster this week for what the lecture was. And I saw that it was Taming Your Tongue. And I think that was a perfect topic for me today, just for me to step into this conversation, because he discussed how, in essence, what he discussed for me, what I took away from it is that we should not put our ideas forward. We should always be striving to speak the teaching, speak the words of Allah, speak the guidance of the minister, and what that means and what that does to inspire us, rather than us trying to put ourselves before what God has already written. So in that spirit and in that mindset, I wanted to open up this conversation, of course, with a clip from the leader of the Nation of Islam, in place of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he has already addressed Ye and Kyrie, and he has addressed for generations before we were all born, about the so-called Jews, about white supremacy and the God's chosen people and who we really are. So I do want to open up with just a clip of some of his words on Kyrie and Ye.
I am sure my teacher is deeply concerned about what is happening in Black America today, that is put two of our young men, one, a great basketball player, Kyrie Irving, and another brother who is called a rapper, but he's so much more than that. Brother Ye, and the controversy that is swirling around these two men that is causing, unfortunately, division among a people that can least afford to be broken more apart because of misunderstanding and, unfortunately, parts of ignorance, that we don't see the enemy who is working 100% to bring bloodshed about among us because of the serious nature of what is happening that is causing them, the enemy, to use his influence on those of us who are on his payroll. And those of us who have been blessed to be connected to them could be a blessing, but it also can be a cursing. Because once the enemy puts his talons into you, he's reaching for your mind, but more than that, he's reaching for your soul to empty us and make us weak when we could be strong, and doing his bidding rather than manifesting the great love that God wants us to show toward one another.
So I chose that clip to start us off just so that it can guide the spirit of how we're having this conversation, because as a people, we are so diverse. We have so many different intelligences and backgrounds. It is important for us to respect each and every one of where we come from, no matter if we're in the Nation of Islam registered or not, no matter if we have a Christian background, no matter if we have a background where we're not sure about a belief in God. You know, it's important for us to respect each other, especially in this time, because that is part of our power. And I wanted to allow the minister to lead with that spirit, because it is humbling for me to know that there is a greater purpose for this conversation, and I would like that greater purpose to live through this podcast. So if anybody would like to comment on that clip, you can go ahead now. If not, I would like to open up with our starting question. All right.
No comments. I think he said it well enough.
Yes. Praise be to Allah. All right. Well, the question that I would like everyone to start with is just the question of this event. Why is it important? Is anti-Semitism, what makes you want to be vocal about it?
I'll let the sisters go first.
Give me a second to think.
Mm-hmm.
Could you repeat the question to you?
Yes. Why are Black people, and specifically you, why are you vocal about anti-Semitism in whichever capacity you are? Another way to say it could be also, why, if it does, why when the controversy of anti-Semitism is prevalent in our society, why does it evoke the emotions that it does from us?
Oh, I like that. I will say it. I believe that it invokes an emotion from Black people in particular, especially in America, because we have been the victims of every ism that you can name in this country, from terrorism to actual true anti-Semitism. And when it comes to that word or that label, it is really used by Satan as a trick, and it is used to bash or strike fear not into only the common person. It is used to strike fear into our celebrities, our great minds, you name it. That term is used to strike fear into anyone who wants to be vocal, or even say that, like how Brother Kyrie was saying, like, I can't be anti-Semitic if I know who I am as a person. So everybody is vocal about it, especially Black people, because we have been bullied so far, and there has been a rising in the body of knowledge, especially when it comes to anti-Semitism. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been at the front of this attack for decades now, and the body of knowledge has just risen. And I believe that now that people are really starting to say, you know what, like, man, like the minister was right about such and such and so and so after all these years. So I'll stop there. I see the sister's hand is raised.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Brother Trey.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bree.
So when you asked it the second time, I immediately thought about how, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad asks us a question: who is that mystery God?
Mm.
Right? And the underlying suggestion after he gets into the answer of that question is God is real, right? God is a man. God came in the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask a similar question. Who is that mystery devil? Who is Satan? Who is the devil? Who is Satan? Who is this person or thing or creature that they have taught us? And by they, I do mean the powers that be. We are taught in the Nation of Islam that there's a shadow government ruled by the top, is it the 1%?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so who is that they taught us was a red man under the ground where we gonna go if we do this and we do that, etc. And I think that with all of the labeling of our people as anti-Semitic, and it's not even only happening to us, it's happening to other people as well who have also chosen to call out the realities that we live in, such as anti-Semitism, the real and true anti-Semitism, like Brother Trey said. So saying that to say, with all of this controversy, it's showing us who Satan is. It's showing us who the devil is by the hypocrisy, by the lying, by the deceit, and by the true power. We love to say they. But, I watched one of Brother Ye interviews, and he said, you keep saying they. He was talking to the speaker. He said, you keep saying they. Who is they?
Mm.
And I think that with all of this, we are getting closer and closer and closer to what Master Fard Muhammad, God in person, came to tell us, show us, and which we know to be true, such as the white man is the devil. And saying that very, not loosely, but as he said it. And so it's getting us closer and closer to that. Even if we want to throw away Master Fard Muhammad, even if we want to say the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not true, because we have been taught by the enemy that this man and what he says is wrong, it's a lie, it's made up, it's a story, etc., etc. But you can't fight the truth of what he, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and what Master Fard Muhammad taught him, because we living in it today. And I just think that with all of this controversy, our people are witnessing it. And so that's why I think that the emotion that is being invoked in our people to speak up about this, and if you pay attention to it, especially and specifically on social media, our people have questions. They have a lot of questions about what it is they have been seeing, what it is that is really being shown in their faces that for the most part, we would most times try to turn a blind eye to, or try to, make excuses for, or give some shallow answer as to why it's happened, some spooky reason as to why these things are happening in the world. And it's like, hell no, it's right here in your face today. You ain't running today. Right. And so that's all I have to say.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna just speak now because I already said this topic's outside of my comfort zone. Like I don't like to talk about things unless like I've studied it hard and I know what I'm talking about. So I accidentally volunteered to do this, but let me speak to just kind of like get comfortable in this space. I do think Brother Trey and Sister Brianna, I think you guys like spoke well and kind of you kind of already given voice to like the reason why I speak out against it. You know, sometimes, you know, you forget why you first started doing things, but I guess my main motive was my minister taught me the truth about who these people are, who this synagogue of Satan is that pretends to be Jews, but they're Satan themselves. So that was like my original reasoning, like put out the truth. I think like Sister Brianna was saying, like now it's coming to a point, like you always hear about like the false label of anti-Semitism. I've heard about it happening in the past, them doing it to the minister, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and all these people. But now like finally seeing it happen within my this day and age, like while I'm alive, I'm older and I'm knowledgeable enough to see it and understand it. It's like, wow, it's so true. Like you guys are really bad at the lie. They're good at the lie, but it's really bad at the lie at the same time. Like you're putting this false label and you're trying to make a point, and as you're trying to defend yourself, you're making it more obvious that you guys do own everything, that there is something going on that's not being said. So I mean, to just like give a final answer to why I think it's important to talk about anti-Semitism, it's just like the lie. It's annoying. So you want to get the truth out there so the people understand. And it's really encouraging to see, again, as Sister Brianna said, the people in the comments. I'll always look in the comments when I see something about this topic or on the minister. And it's beautiful to see like the support. It's beautiful to see the people aren't falling for it anymore. They're finally saying, you know, like I look at the comments on the Breakfast Club video with the ADL spokesperson. I forget his name. Greenblatt. Yes. And all the people are like, can you bring on Dr. Umar Johnson? Like, what's going on? They're not having it anymore. So yeah, I think I answered your question, and it's good. It seems our people are waking up.
Yeah, no,
not having it.
Something that you said reminded me of today. Minister Ishmael said that they're essentially what you said about they're not even good at the lie. He said they don't really need to prove anything, but they just repeat and repeat and repeat. And so we begin to believe it because this is just repetition at this point. So it feels okay. It feels normal because we've basically been psychologically engineered to accept the things that they say is fact, even though they've never been proven to be fact. And the opposite has been proven. And especially by the research of the Nation of Islam.
Right.
Matt?
My baby.
I mean, so what I was saying is we're in a generation where we have social media now, so everything is visual, and that's I feel like our
Matt, I can hardly hear you. Can you come to the mic? I don't want it to be not heard. That's better.
So what I was saying is that I feel like our generation is just awakening as far as how we have social media to see everything that's going on, and I feel like that's just the big thing that is within our time frame, that we're seeing everything that they're trying to play us with. So yeah, that was what I was saying. I'm sorry, she just you want me to take it?
No.
Yeah. I wanted to make mention to what you just said in terms of they just repeat. Because I heard that quote before and it goes like this. I just looked it up. It says, repeat a lie often enough and it becomes the truth. Is a law of propaganda often attributed to the Nazi Joseph Goebbels. I don't know his last name or how to pronounce it, but that's the quote that I've seen that quote before. And I think I kind of paid attention to it more once I joined the Nation of Islam, because, you know, you learning so much truth at once and you wonder like, okay, if I'm learning all this truth, you know, that the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives us, how in the heck was I believing all these lies all this long old time? Like, how did they fool me? But the reality is it was being repeated again and again and again and again and again. And then, you know, us as Black families, for the most part, whether you were born in the nation or not, you know, we got some stories and things and lies being told even in our families that when you hear so long, it only be when you get old enough and you're like, she was lying that whole time, he was lying that whole time, or that was just a lie, not necessarily based upon truth or even was truth in the beginning anyway. So I just wanted to bring that up because that is a real thing that they go by in order to do the work that they do. And by they, I do mean the Satan.
Thank you, Bree. I'm glad you brought that up because that actually speaks to, for me, why this anti-Semitism, when it gets thrown around, it evokes like a strong emotion within me. And I realize it's because of the truth. Like we naturally as Black people, we connect with the truth. So like how you were saying, we learn lies. Then when we come into the teachings of the Nation of Islam, we immediately connect with it as truth. It's not hard to accept, even when we don't understand or we haven't studied yet. It's not hard to accept the truths that the nation teaches. Right. And I think it's because it connects with us as Black people. We are in the image and the likeness of God, which is truth. So when we hear truth, we're attracted to it and we want to come to it. But they created this world and this situation where they make you afraid to go towards the truth, as like Kyrie posted a link to a video, a documentary, which I watched, and it's not anti-Semitic. But this video and documentary, it had truth in it that attracted him to it. And he shares it and they immediately cut him down for sharing a link. The man didn't even say everything in here is true, I'm totally changed. The man shared the link and they cut him down to make him afraid and back up and apologize for sharing it because of the truths, the non-truths that may have been in it, according to these people and what they repeat. And these people, meaning the Jewish community, specifically in this example, white people, because there are Jews who are Black and multicultural, but these people who are attacking us are white people. So for me, I had to think about, why am I feeling this way when I see Jonathan Greenblatt talking the way that he does, or when I see people on social media sharing as if Ye is some psycho and as if Kyrie is horrible for sharing that link. Why do I feel angry? Why do I feel offended? And it's because I know the truth. I connect with the truth. And when I'm tired of seeing this lie, like the lie is so blatant and so trash, it pisses me off to continue to see it, and mostly to continue to see our people like bowing to the lie. And that's what emotionally gets me in my feelings. But of course, through study, that's something that we can rise above the emotion into the thinking of God, so we can properly share the truth by Allah's will.
Yeah. I just want to. Matt, we can't hear you again. You got to come to the mic.
Can y'all hear me?
You got to come to the mic. Yeah.
All right. So, now I was saying, dang, I'm getting old.
You said a lot of our people.
A lot of our people is like comfortable in the positions that they are. I feel like, that some of us are, we live in a place of fear, or like risking what you're already used to growing up with, and versus like what the truth is. Like a lot of people are okay with not accepting like the truth right now. They'd rather just be where they are, where they're comfortable in their setting, rather than try to deal with the challenges that really don't have to be a challenge, because we really have strength within our people. So I just feel like that's like the big transition in our generation, in our time right now, is people are getting out of that like being comfortable with what they show us and what they tell us on social media and on the news and everything, for our own people. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, both good points. I feel like what you're saying, Matt, kind of goes into like the fact that this generation is so like rebellious, and they kind of want to feel good about themselves and be respected for what they feel is right. Like while a lot of this like movement into respect me and all that I am. In some ways, it goes against a lot of what I believe, and I feel like it's really rebellious. It's like excessively rebellious. I feel like it also gives us this moment we're having now where people are like, our people are waking up and they're speaking out and being honest about the lies. But I did want to comment on like what you were saying, Atia, with just like the fact, I think it's so interesting. Like the same thing happens to me. I start getting so bothered. I can feel it when I hear somebody speak out against the minister or use this false label of anti-Semitism. Like you could literally lie and put on a facade and be fake with people all day and you're fine. But as soon as you like get bothered by something you really care about and you want to speak out against it, you start getting choked up or it gets hard. It's funny you say, because it had literally just happened to me. Like I told you already, I deal with foreign English speakers online. I teach them English, and I was conversing with this one woman. She wanted to talk about politics and stuff. She was asking me about like how something to the effect of like asking my opinion. She started talking about voting, and I was saying how I'm not super into voting in presidential elections, and the reasons why. And it got to her asking me like, why don't you feel that like Asian groups and Jews vote in the elections? And as I was trying to explain to her what I meant, she said, well, do you feel like it's because they're most oppressed groups? And that moment happened where I was like, what did she just say to me? Like, so I had to just like, I slowly said, did you just say to me? Because again, I'm teaching English, so I gotta like make sure I understand what you said. Did you just say to me that the reason that Asians and Jews don't vote is because they're the most oppressed group? She said, yeah. I said, do you know what happened to Black people in history? Like I was upset, but I was trying to stay calm. And she actually like submitted to it. She was like, oh yeah, you're right. And like kind of went to a different question. My point in bringing that up, just because I relate to what you were saying. But yeah, it takes courage. I guess that's the thing. Whenever it's something that's like a real serious truth, again, like the minister and these lies were told, it takes a lot of courage to actually say it. But every time I've ever done it and like tried to get that courage, I've always been rewarded. Even if I was uncomfortable in the moment, it feels good afterwards. You get stronger.
I definitely hear what sister was saying, especially when it comes to speaking the truth. Because I myself, I'm a sailor. So I have to really be careful of my words. That's why I don't really make a lot of videos and stuff like that. So I just say I'm just a student. I'll just be quiet because I get very passionate especially like when talking to people or when people come sideways or correct. So I'm in the process of being a better human being. I'll say that.
I feel you on that, Trey. I understand that fully.
Yes, sir.
I'm not a big like discussioner. I'm not
right
like my wife here. I'm not, I'm not in the debate and stuff. I feel like if you against me, then that means we have odds. It's like
right, exactly.
I don't do the back and forth kind of thing. So like, but what's crazy is I grew up in a Jewish community. So I didn't even know about Farrakhan until I met Atia and her family and how they taught me his word and same with Elijah Muhammad, like just understanding that side.
Yes, sir.
And for Black people, that was very motivating for me to understand more about and just like more of my roots on where I come from, what I believe in. I grew up in the church and Christian church, but what's crazy is what they taught me in school, like as I grew up and what I understood. You know what I mean? I wasn't really a big talker as far as what I really believed in and what fits for me as just a Black man in this world.
Yes,
and
sir.
They didn't want to really let us be able to have that, that pedestal. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now we're in a day and time where I was working for an electrical company in New York where I was under control. I was like a slave to a company pretty much, but I was learning. But I didn't see it as I'm a slave to this company. I've seen it as, I'm here to get mine, understanding and, learn how to be able to become the best electrician for this company before thinking about having my own company. And so I feel like, God puts the truth within us as we grow in what we believe in when we learn ourselves as we go through our life. You know what I'm saying? And that's what led me to Tia and understanding the word of Farrakhan, you know, and just being able to stand up to what I really believe in and what is right for our people. You know, just as Black people, we are really like, they treat us like still like dogs right in our face.
Exactly. Yes,
and think
sir.
we just I was there before. I was like, I was maybe siding, like, let me just keep myself shut. But now it's like, yeah, I'm not about to just walk by that. It's like,
Yes, sir.
but
Beautiful
it's a blessing.
testimony.
It's a blessing to have that understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, love. I want to come back to you, Brother Trebor, and you, Matt, because as Black men, I do have a question for you too, in regards to this, especially on the point that you connected on about how you speak. And forgive Journey, she's gonna be in it too. She's speaking wisdom. If you actually listening, she going in.
I hear it. I hear
She's
it.
speaking in peace.
She's saying something.
But I on a point that Dira said, she said that there's that feeling that we get in our throat. It takes courage to be able to speak truth, as a minister instructed us to do, to speak truth to the lie, to hurl truth at the lie until it knocks its brains out, right? Because the lie does have brains, because there is no mystery God and
That's
there
right.
is no mystery devil. Satan has a face, and our open enemy is in attack mode right now at us. So it takes courage, especially in Satan's world, to be able to speak the truth to Satan when he's throwing it at us. He's throwing the lie. But Dira specifically said that, and thank you for your testimony, Dira. I'm proud of you for your courage. But when you spoke up, you said there is always a reward when you speak up after fighting that fear. And I've been doing the study guides. That's why I held it up. And I just finished study guide number 3, overcoming difficulty. And question number 10 in there, in the analysis that Sister Ava wrote, may Allah forever be pleased with her. She said that the exertion of energy in facing and overcoming difficulty strengthens character. Each time we face difficulty and use our faith in our Lord to overcome it, there is a reward. This reward gives us the incentive to try and try again. And that's funny that you said that the way you did, because that stuck out to me when I read the analysis of this study guide. Because that it's like going to the gym. The more you put yourself in the position, because I know myself, I avoid, situations and conversations like this. I avoid it. So I'm never strengthening that muscle to be able to have the courage to hurl truth at lies. But the more and more we go to the gym, we're working out those muscles. The
Absolutely.
stronger we get, until eventually we don't even feel that 30-minute run on the treadmill. It's nothing to us. And you bore witness to that in real life, dear. So I wanted to bring that out.
Praise be to Allah.
Okay. I thought y'all were gonna say something else.
No. I
I
thought there was
you had questions for the Black men.
Yeah,
I do. Yes. So on that point, Black men, every time I get on social media, it's a lot of Black women speaking, right? Especially when it comes to our community and building our community up. I don't see a lot of Black men, except for ministers in the nation, speaking up. And of course, I would say I see a lot of FOI speaking up. You have our brother Reza, brother Joshua, different people who may not be in the ministry class who also speak up. But it's not as prevalent. You see a lot more women in the Black community that are making moves that we can see, that are positive for our people. So as Black men in this issue of anti-Semitism, do you feel that because this was rap and sports, do you feel that you're more connected to this issue? And do you feel that put like maybe a more emotional stake in it for you?
I would say that that's a deep question. I feel that it's been brought to the world scale just due to the fact that it's a brother that's in the world of sport and play. So I would say that um, the issue's been brought to the forefront now because you're dealing with um, black men who are in those in that world specifically. So I mean that's I would really have to think about it. So that's what just I would really just that's my answer. I'm sorry. What's that in? Everybody's muted.
Yo,
Everybody's
Yeah.
okay.
I can hear me.
I can hear you.
Yeah. So, can you ask it one more time? What was the question?
Yeah. While brother Trey was speaking, I actually thought of Shanquella Robinson, and I don't see a lot of black men speaking on that, but I still see lots of black men
on the sports
speaking on Kyrie, speaking on Ye.
Right.
So like, what provides the emotional stake for a black man to be more vocal about this?
I mean, for me
Yeah.
personally,
Hold on. Tia, can I ask a question really quick? Are you saying, because I'm kind of I guess maybe need more clarity on what you're asking. I know you're asking a black man, but I just kind of want to understand it. Are you saying like what causes an emotional reaction out of the black man when it comes to these controversial topics, or just not topics, but like situations that are happening presently?
Actually, thank you for the clarity, because I think what I'm asking is there more of an emotional stake in seeing Ye and Kyrie and what they're going through right now than other things that are happening in our community?
What do you mean by emotional stake?
How we discuss how the labeling of black people as anti-Semitic, how it evokes emotions from us because of various reasons.
Gotcha.
I'm wondering for black men specifically, mostly because I've seen Matt, mostly I've seen you be more vocal about the things going on when it comes from the perspective of this Ye and Kyrie issue or controversy. So it just the connection that you and brother Trey made on how you don't like debating, right? You both kind of agreed on, I'm not a debater. I'm at war. If I see you're against me, I'm at war. So I wonder what makes you as black men, you two as black men, kind of what I've seen in you, just more not reactionary, but more vocal. It seems like it touches you more what's happening with them.
I guess because it's a black man, it's another black male, it has nothing to do with like the woman you're talking about. But I feel like I'm more so like myself, I'm more so vocal with you because you're my partner. So I'm more comfortable with expressing my feelings at that moment, or my opinion, something like that, because you're my partner versus somebody outside of us. And we have a discussion like this, I'm not going to put effort in, because all it takes is just one person to be like, I'm thinking wrong, or, I shouldn't think like that, or something like that. And then it's like, well, I'm going to feel like you attacking me. I'm going to feel like I need to defend myself, because it's like, well, why are you telling me who I'm supposed to be, or why I can't be like that? That I'm not going to waste my breath having a discussion with somebody like that, because I feel like it's just not going to go anywhere in that way. But for the matter of that is like Kyrie, like me, I'm a sports guy, so I'm a Nets fan. I follow Kyrie, so and of course, I'm into music, but I mean, just them being black men in the world, and I feel like more so Ye is like alone in a way out there, and he's gone through a lot as a build-up in the music industry, and just as a solo black man out there, and everything that he's dealing with. So I just feel, for them, because they are like my brothers, and no, it's like you should have your brothers back. Like me, I'm sorry, I will help a brother out before some white dude something, you know, I'm trying.
Right.
Like I will push for that because I just feel more connected to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I feel like they try to make us like we're supposed to be against each other, and that's their goal. That's what they want to reach for. But yeah, like it, you know, they put people like Ye and Kyrie in the forefront and put them as an image for every black man. Like, you know, you're supposed to be controlled and you're supposed to be um understanding like what you do and everything you do as an influencer, and it has an effect on everybody. You know what I mean?
Yes,
But
sir.
I'm not with that food.
Yes.
So I'm, you know,
Absolutely.
that's just where I stand.
Yeah. May I add to that
Yeah.
as a black man? I will say, Brother Matthew made an excellent point when it came to sharing on these topics. You know, he talked about sharing it, you know, with his wife, or you know, and when it comes to that, as a black man in this world who isn't caught up with so much of the distractions, there's not a lot. I mean, it's beautiful when you can communicate with someone else versus, you know, we like to speak with our partners, or, you know, with your wives or friends, so on and so forth, before, you know, taking it to the world, before introducing it to a main stage of program. So I definitely agree with Brother said, and also adding to that, I will say with the sister who was unfortunately murdered in another country. I will say that that was absolutely disgusting to me. I mean, I don't I don't know what I don't. They said that it was a woman, or I guess, or was it a trans man or something like that? I don't know. She was being beaten, and somebody was saying fight back, and she wasn't. I mean, that's just I didn't like I didn't like how the sister was being represented, because, like, you know, when it comes to photos being put out of us and ourselves, of course, when it comes to black people in general, they will always use the most, even the most disrespectful or most revealing photo to represent us. They say this is what you are, so we shouldn't really care about so and so, because look at how they were dressed, or look at how they behaved, or something like that. You know, the all the stereotypes are completely given over and over again. But I will say, for me personally, I try to be as well rounded with all of these issues, because anytime black people are going through something, especially us, it should strike a chord in you to at least say something, because it's against, even whether you're a Nation of Islam or not, or even just as a Muslim in general, or as a black person, when you see injustice, it is your duty to speak out against it in any way, shape, or form if you can, or even if you're too cowardly. I mean, even if you can sit behind a computer and say something, I mean, that helps too. So I'll just end it there.
Yeah. Thank you, Brother Trey.
Well,
I want to clarify too, and of course, you have a large following on social media, and you do post about everything. I think I found out about our sister, Shanquella Robinson, from your page.
Okay.
So I want to clarify too. I was trying to create a comparison of thought, not at all, because I don't subscribe, as everyone should know, I don't subscribe with attacking the black man at all. And I of course
God.
understand. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes,
He's
sir.
like, let me log off.
Ain't nope.
Listen.
And no disrespect to feminists, and especially the real feminists, not these you know, whatever social media has created nowadays. But I'm not even a real feminist, I guess. So for me, I wasn't saying that as a way to attack or accuse the black man of not speaking up for our sister, but just I understand how you can relate, or especially if you're into sports, or if you're into music, how that can inspire you to speak more. Likewise, for Shanquella Robinson, that can inspire a black woman to speak more, especially if they're an entrepreneur or a traveler, similarly to her, which a lot of people are speaking of because of that connection. Yeah, but thank you so much, because we need that black male perspective, unaltered and not defined or messed with by even black women sometimes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Another question I wanted to ask, just to continue the flow of the conversation. Let me see, I wrote a few down. When it comes to Minister Farrakhan and the idea of God's chosen people, I often sometimes forget the kind of fundamentals of the teachings, the basic principles and the basic ideas of the teachings, and how it actually liberates the minds and us as a people, Black people. So in thinking about why I get so emotionally charged, I guess, around this idea of the labeling of Black people as anti-Semitic, Matt actually reminded me of the fact that Christians are taught to believe that Jews are God's chosen people. Mm-hmm. And that it made me remember that that's something I learned in school myself, because me and my sister, we grew up in Christian schools most of our life, most of our education. And when it comes to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he clearly teaches us that as Black people, we are the chosen people of God because we fit the description of the scriptures, and also because of who we are as a people actually fits the image and likeness of who Allah actually is. And unfortunately, we have this group of Jews who are white people who kind of usurp is a word, or they take over that title of God's chosen people. And that's part of the issue as to why the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad specifically speak to the Jewish community and the synagogue of Satan, as it is written in the scriptures, for what they do to our community. And I wonder, just what are our thoughts? What are your thoughts about that? About the idea that God's chosen people are kind of unknown by God's chosen people, us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know y'all could hear me fanning. I'm sorry. I'm going mute.
I thought you said I want to hear from the brother. Can I respond if no one else?
Yeah.
Because the first thing that comes to my head, I want to say it before I forget, is that everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has given us from Master Farrakhan Muhammad, Allah in person, is the truth based on scripture. Like, it's all right there. So it talks about the false Jews that Jesus had conflicts with. There was something else that came to my head and it just left. That's why I want to quickly say it. But the point being is, none of this is something that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is saying or the minister is saying. These are things that are in scripture, yet we forget about it. I wanted to also go into your point of us not knowing who we are. Again, scripturally, we're the despised and the rejected. We don't know who we are. We're in a strange land away from where we belong. So we lost our bloodline along the way. So, I mean, everything that's happening to us, even in the negative aspect, is just proven, or let me be careful my words, it's fulfilling the scriptures.
Powerful.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Simply said.
I was going to say along the lines of what Dear said, you know, we love to say everything happens for a reason, you know, but with that, we hate to believe that God would allow us to be in the position that we are in today for a reason, not just personally, culturally. As a people, we are going through this for a reason. And for all of us who are believers in God, you know, we read the Bible, we read the Holy Quran, or whatever sort of scripture we decide to read. We got to really read it. That's the thing. Just like Dira just said, a lot of the things that we are witnessing, and there are some, because I've seen comments from people who do not have the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and say, y'all need to read the scripture. Scripture talks about this. So like, some of us really know, some of us know, you know, that these things were prophesied to come, and that many of the
things that we are witnessing and living in today is based upon scripture, period. But yes, so everything is by design and for a reason. And yeah.
That's facts.
Absolutely. Well, I will. What was the question again?
No, I got lost in the point, I guess. But basically, your thoughts on how us as God's chosen people, we're not even aware, and especially growing up in Christianity, if we did, we're actually taught to believe that Jews are the chosen people, and Jews meaning white people that we see in the communities, Ashkenazi Jews, and those who have kind of taken the origins that is in the scripture.
Yes, ma'am. I will say that I'm going to paraphrase because I always forget when it comes to wasn't God wrestling with no, somebody was wrestling with God, or God was wrestling with an angel. But I know that
the angels were wrestling with God about what he yes,
ma'am. About the well, I know that the angel had overcame, and I believe that angel was Jacob, also known as Yakub. And of course, our people, we have been hit in the head, and the enemy has been permitted for a protracted time in order to rule over us. And see, when it comes to everything, when it comes to today, I mean, when it comes to the knowledge of self is very important, and the knowledge of self and the knowledge of the enemy, because still to this day, nobody wants to debate or go over this right here, the secret relationship, especially part 1 or part 2, because as the minister talked about in the video, when it came to Kyrie and Yee, he said that we have our scholars. He said we'll go with you. So I mean, everybody, well, not everybody, still the ADL and others still refuse to have a sit at the table. But my thing is, I don't get to see the Black Jews' perspective on any of what the ADL has to say, unless I'm really looking, unless I dig deep. Where's the representation from the Black Jews in their communities and in their synagogues and so on and so forth? So it really shows you who the enemy truly is. I mean, for a group of people to say that somebody's anti-Semitic for so long, I mean, we want concrete evidence, a concrete proof. And that's what this is just one of the books of what we have. And it's not even, and it's called Anti-Semitism, but you have to go to the footnotes. I mean, you got names like Victor Ullman, Williamson, Schwartz, like you name it. These are from your scholars, not ours. So I'll end it there.
Go ahead.
Can I add too? I'm talking, I feel like a lot, but I just want to add something came to my mind. Like, I think that's a good point. Like, it's showing us who they are, because they get to be on the forefront of everything and be devils in the forefront to kind of make this all come to an end. But a few things also come to mind, being that us not knowing who we are makes us more ready to become who we're supposed to be. Because maybe had we known we're the chosen people of God all this time, we might be as pompous as these white Jews saying, we're the chosen people of God. We deserve this. We deserve that. We're the best, causing all this destruction and misery on the earth as they are. Had we known, that's a maybe. Number two, I think about how the minister talks about how he doesn't think too much of himself, and how that's a protection for him being so humble, for him being such a loving person, and Allah being able to make him who he is that he doesn't think too much of himself. And another thing that had come to mind, but it's totally leaving my head. So just those 2 points, that I think us not knowing who we are is a way for, as we're taught, Allah having to clear everything out of us, take everything away from us, so then he can completely put himself into us and we can become a righteous world and a righteous people where there's finally peace on this earth. That also comes to my mind in reference to that question.
That was powerful. I never thought of it that way, especially that first part about how if we would have known then, we would still be going back and forth. It's like, I'm chosen. And then somebody else saying, no, I'm chosen. That was
Right.
deep.
Allah's gonna prove it to us in
Yes,
in
ma'am.
this way.
Absolutely.
To add on to what Dira was saying, because she basically was saying that, to sum it up for you, Tia, she was saying that had we known who we are during this whole time, then maybe God would not be able to use us, or at least remove all of the bad out of us, to then, of course, bring us back to the top. And I had heard this. I've read in Our Savior Has Arrived by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad what truth out of season does. And I forget the quote, but I just looked up one and it says, truth out of season bears no fruit. And so picture the enemy bringing us to America, doing all that he did to us, and we kept who we knew we were. We would not have grown to the point of getting the brown germ out of us, or at least revealing itself to us in our faces, if we did not go through that process. So I definitely agree with what Dira said, just because think about the time that, hey, you ain't know a thing, or you learned a thing after the fact, and you even more grateful about what you learned while it was after the fact, because had you learned it in a time where maybe you weren't ready for it, etc., it really wouldn't do nothing for you. That's just like when you read, and you read that same book maybe 6 months later, a year later, 5 years later. It's the same book, same words, but you read it again and something new pop out at you that was already there. You know it was there, or maybe you didn't realize it was there because your mind wasn't ready for it yet, but it pops out back at you. But it's perfect for the space that you in during the time that you read it. So yeah, just to add on to what Dira was saying.
That's a powerful point. I love that. And the quote you said was, truth out of season bears no fruit, right?
Yep.
That's from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
No. That's a quote that's on, it says a quote by the RZA. I don't know what that is, but I know I've heard that same type of quote in Our Savior Has Arrived by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I just don't remember what he said verbatim.
Okay. Thank you. Now that's
That was
powerful.
a beautiful point. Yeah.
And that's real. Just to bring up, since you shared a bit of your testimony, love, just in looking at how our people are reacting to what's happening with Ye and Kyrie, and even our actual mission now, it seems like we're on to boycott Nike. It's like those words are so key and so true, because it's kind of like when you push too much on the people and then you get on them for not following it. And like the minister said in his address that he gave us, he said, help our people to come out of the basically the hole. These aren't his exact words, but help our people to come out of the hole that they're in. Don't knock their brains out with the truth, but assist our people, and how we can't Allah will allow our people to see. We can't force something on somebody. And I've seen that just in our relationship growing as husband and wife, and especially with my family as well. You can't force something, even if it's true. You can't force it on people. You have to plant your seed and then watch the harvest come. We have to be patient with our people, because the minister said that, even when our people are in the wrong, they're our family. So we should love them. And we should allow, truth to come to them, because they're still made in the image and likeness of God, no matter what wrong they may be doing. Doesn't mean, the idea of R. Kelly is coming to my mind. We deserve our consequences for the wrong, but let's still love our family. There's no such thing as canceling or eliminating somebody from this earth. So let's love our brother and let him face his consequences, but allow truth when it comes from him to be applauded,
Tia, that is so good, because I'm so glad that you brought up patience, because as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, that take a great deal of patience to deal with us as a people. And it takes a great test of love. Like, you got to really love yourself to love another Black person, period. I don't care where you at on any part of the earth. You got to love yourself. You got to know something about yourself to have patience and love for your people. And I salute the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for doing what they do, because I be looking and I'm like, nope, would have dropped them last. Nope, would have never told her nothing. No, and no. But I just wanted to say that because it really does take a great deal of patience and a great sense and depth of love for our people to be able to do, this work. And also, too, what you were saying, Tia, it made me think about the parent-child relationship. I started thinking about instantly how, when you grow up, your parent all telling you that's wrong. Not even that's wrong. They'll try to tell you the right thing. And you don't be trying to hear it. You think you know it. Like, you like, girl, you've been here 40, 50 plus years. Okay, whatever. But I'm here right here in this dispensation of time. And I'm telling you that ain't right. Only for you to come and realize years later, oh my, he was trying to tell me. She was trying to help me out. He was trying to tell me. He was trying to help me out. And you just get in your own way. So even that relationship is a bearing of witness to the patience and love you just gotta have for your people when dealing with us. Period.
Yeah.
Facts. That's real.
Oh, and also it takes a level of I don't know why forgiveness just came to my mind, but forgiveness too, because if we all dealing with things in hurt, etc., it really does get in the way of us being able to love and have patience with our people. But forgiving a brother or sister for what they have done, maybe to you, in front of you, whatever the case, most times based off of limited knowledge or just a weak decision in that period of time. But moving along that by means of love and patience and knowing that none of us are perfect. And I used to hate the saying, I used to hate the saying, oh, I'm not perfect, I mess up. I used to hate that because I felt like for so long, I feel like we've used that as an excuse to do either the bare minimum or not try our best. But then you got to humble yourself, because in reality, ain't none of us perfect. Like it's really real. But yes.
Right.
Thank you. I want to highlight the fact that we came in speaking about anti-Semitism, and now we're speaking about healing our own people and bringing truth to our own people, and how I'm recognizing a lot nowadays the duality in our mission, especially as people who are knowledgeable of the teachings, our mission of people in the nations, or of people who have truth. Our mission has a dual kind of side to it. It's like a record. It's not just one side. You got to flip it and get to the other side too. So while we have to work on throwing truth and knocking out the brains of lies that we are confronted with, we also have to kind of have that softer side of being patient and loving and forgiving to work with our people. So it's kind of like a protection defense, and then also that side of just growing and taking care of your garden and watering your people. So it's a rough mission when we don't have the grace of Allah with us in what we're doing. And it did lead me to another clip that I got from the minister's address of Ye and Kyrie that I would like to share now on education and us seeking the truth as a people. But if somebody wants to speak before I show that, go ahead, because it looks like maybe Brother Trey, you want to comment?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Bree.
I was going to just say 2 questions based upon your comment of the duality. Why does a man have X and Y chromosomes? Why did God create man and woman? Duality. Polar opposites. I'm not even joking. Polar opposites. Think two completely different ways.
Mhm.
But it's a testament to the nature in which we were created and the laws of the universe.
Talk about it.
So it's in everything. You can't get away from it. Just like you can't get away from God. There's no way. I mean, when you're a part of the righteous family, the original family.
You gonna serve one God or the other. You gonna serve a righteous God, or you gonna serve the God of wicked. But you serve someone.
Right. But those dual components. Why is
Components?
components? But
electrician word.
but that duality, you just made me see how it's literally in everything. It's in everything.
Thanks. Go ahead, brother Trey.
Oh, I ain't have anything to add.
Oh, yeah,
Not on that point. Everybody hit it. So.
Word. All right, let's play this clip.
Man went to a movie. He saw something that taught him more about himself, and he wanted to share it. You looked at his passing on what he thought was knowledge that would sink his roots back in the soil of himself and the God. And you felt threatened by that. Why owners of the nets, why did you feel threatened? He didn't call you out by name. He just said he saw something and he put it up. You called it what? A anti-Semitic trope. The movie is almost a little over 2 hours. I'm sure there are things in there that you didn't like. But there are many things that you all have written about us that we don't like. You have been the one making us hate who we are and hate our origin in the world. You're the one that made Tarzan and told us that that's part of us. You've done all of this to us. And we couldn't say nothing. You're the one that made a darky, a little black Sambo. And you made us to see that as who we are. Can't you see that we're tired of that? So because I and others of knowledge are spreading knowledge of God, knowledge of self, knowledge of the time, and also knowledge of an enemy. Because we couldn't be in a condition like this if all of you were our friends. We have enemies. And those enemies have dropped us down in the barrel of waste. We're not around here hating you. But we tell the truth of what we know of what some of you have done to put us in the condition that we're in.
So that clip I wanted to share because I wanted to bring up this idea of education, right? When we seek truth, and especially in the face of what we may have learned, especially in grade school in the United States of America, all of us, I believe, have been through some type of curriculum where we learn extensively about the Jewish Holocaust. And we learned about what that did to the community and what the Germans did and how Hitler is a disgusting, horrible person. And on the flip side, we have not in school learned much about the horrors and the terror that we went through, having to go through chattel slavery and being who we are in the position right now in this country, and the continued horrors and terror and disgusting predicament and broken families and the self-hate that we struggle and suffer with now. I remember one little tiny paragraph in my American history class that mentioned slavery and that it was bad, maybe, but it helps the fabric of this country, literally. Like, I remember that little paragraph. Slavery happened. It was a moral upset in America, but it helped the fabric of this country. So let's discuss it. Education. Why is it not okay for us to seek truth in our own way?
Say it again. Why is it not okay for us to seek truth in our own way?
Yes.
Oh.
To who?
As in from the white man's perspective.
Truth about the oppression and the suffering that we have had and continue to have at the hand of white people. And I just want to emphasize that Jewish people are white people that we are speaking of.
when it comes to learning about Jewish suffering, especially in grade school, do y'all remember Anne Frank? Wasn't she Jewish?
Yes.
Wasn't she like? What was that? There was another one. Yeah, there was another one with some. There was a lady who was blind and dumb. She couldn't talk. What was that?
Helen Keller, the blind and deaf one.
Yeah, Keller.
Helen Keller.
Yeah,
Helen Keller.
Something.
That was
she was
the names.
No. Helen Keller was a different situation. I think that was like a psychological crime. Like her parents, she was born not being able to hear, not being able to see, and her parents basically locked her in the basement. And it was a psychological like studies that they did on her after she got out. Yeah.
All I remember about
Anne Frank was the Holocaust. She was a child.
Yeah, I remember
they wrote her diary. They had her diary.
Yeah, I remember they forced us to read the book, and I don't really remember nothing about the book, but I remember the only thing I remember about the movie is when that white lady had snatched some bread from her, and she and she fell on the ground. I don't mean to make mockery. That's all I remember. But the point is, I was saying that they make their history a requirement, and of course they have their meetings in Texas and other places about determining the curriculum. And of course, when it comes to us learning about our history, they don't even, well, to be honest, they don't even think of us as human beings. But that goes to the Talmudic teaching. But I mean, it's so much to say on that. But I know we on YouTube, so I don't want to get sister's channel taken or anything like that. But
hey, what you gotta do, bro? We're not cutting any conversation here. I'll do editing.
But their teaching is, we are not to even be considered as human beings,
right? And
so on and so forth. So, I mean, when it comes to us learning about ourselves, we might as well forget it. When it comes to their, especially public school system, I mean, I'll leave it there. So I'm just gonna stop.
Hey, that's facts. I remember specifically Anne Frank in my 8th grade class. We went to private school growing up, but I think I missed 2 or 3 days of class because I was selected to play a Jew while we were reading Anne Frank, and I basically had to physically find a hiding space, and I would do my homework assignments and the class assignments. But I was basically living her lifestyle, having to be quiet in my hiding space. And there were people in class designated the SS. And if they found us, we would be out and have to return to class. And this went on for more than one day, I remember. And mind you, that was a fun assignment. That was a very fun assignment. I loved it. And I'll never forget it. But seriously, we can do that. I'm taking out multiple days in my Christian school to learn about the Jewish Holocaust. But when it came to slavery, the teacher was uncomfortable enough to even comment on it. There's no conversation about slavery. I'm sitting here black in class. My classmates are black. My friends are black. But we can't learn anything about our history. And we can recognize that the teacher doesn't know anything about our history.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brother Trey, what you're saying is so real. Like, it goes to the fact that they literally do not care about us. We've gone through so much. We've gone through so much worse than them, but
Right.
they think of us, like you said, as humans. They don't care about us. Same thing in my Christian school. I was just remembering, we had to do a whole Jewish dance. We did I had to learn the dance and learn some words that were in Hebrew or something. I don't remember what we were saying, and run in a circle, some type of Jewish dance in my Christian school. But goes to show again how Jews run and own the thought and everything in this country.
Whew, the thought.
May I go?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I don't really recall me learning anything that y'all described. especially not the dance. I don't remember any of that, but I do and can relate to the sentiments of being in class as a Black student, particularly in high school, and just wondering how in the hell, just like Tia said, I'm Black in this class, all my classmates Black, and we got some white teacher telling us that all these white people created all this stuff that we have here today on earth. I can remember arguing. I used to argue with all of my white teachers for real.
Right.
But the history teacher, he knew as soon as I came into class, we having a debate today because what are you about to try to teach me? And I can recall just going back and forth with him. And this was before I even knew. This was before I even registered in the Nation of Islam and learned all of the actual facts and all of these different things in specific terms and ways. But it just felt like something was wrong about what he was teaching. I'm like, you saying the white man made this and this one white man found this and Christopher Columbus this. And I'm like, no, I was like, we were here before y'all. No, I can remember that. I remember those experiences of it being so whitewashed that it's just like, ain't nothing for me to do in here. If y'all done did everything, y'all know everything. What are we doing here? But I did
your Black school,
huh?
In your majority Black populated school,
exactly. But I did want to mention the quote that the minister says a lot in his lectures, which says, "He who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes the circumference of the activity." And so, with that being said, they know what they're doing in schools, in hospitals, in grocery stores, in funeral homes. They know what they're doing to cultivate us in a way that we never find God. We never find out who our true selves is and be able to do the things that we need to do for us to grow as a people and individually. So that's really all they are doing. They're prescribing the circumference of our activity. They're making sure all the slaves stay in one place, separated or not, but they making sure they got a hand and hold and grip on us so that we don't move out, which is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches that we want separation. We want a place of our own where we can be free and do the things that we need to do to build ourselves as a people, without the interruption of white people and all the shenanigans that they bring to us as a people. And yet and still, that was in the 30s. And yet and still, that has not been done. And more than likely, without force, won't be done. So, yes.
You mean like us finding out who we are?
What?
Won't be done unless forcefully?
Right, exactly.
Got you. Yeah, and Bree, it sounds like to me, like even before you came to the nation, I know like Tia was your teacher for a little while. So, but like even before Tia and stuff, you already had an understanding kind of who you were as a Black person and could see there's something going wrong with the education you were getting?
Yeah, but that came from more like it was more about my personal life. Like I knew in my personal life, with my my upbringing that some things weren't right. So that kind of gave me that boost of confidence to be able to call out things that weren't right. And so, yeah.
So your mama taught you. Beautiful.
Amen.
I'll
I
just
had
say,
to. Oh, go ahead, bro.
Go ahead.
Just
Oh,
oh, I'm sorry, Trey. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'll let you go ahead. It was something off topic, but it had to do with school. But I'll let you go.
Yeah, now it's I'm talking about school myself, just feeding off actually what you were saying with Anne Frank.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I grew up in a Jewish community, so my school, you know, it was diverse. Like there was black people, but it was pretty diverse in my class. But what's crazy is I think what kept me strong and confident and knowing who I am is because of my grandmother. I was raised by my grandmother, and she was an independent black woman, and she was a music teacher, and she was a music teacher for like over 60 years. And I was pretty much, she raised me from a young child. And so she was very, you know, she was born in 1927, and her family was very they came from, you know, the segregation. She came from Virginia. That's, you know, straight down there. But hush up. And sorry, she just my baby distracted. But my point in saying that is that the black my black culture within me, I guess, you know, like my grandmother really kept that within me, and we were living in a society where it's predominantly Jews, where they're teaching us their history and what we should understand, that, you know, is more, we should be more sensitive to that than you know, like the Emmett Till or anything that's happened in our history, slaves, you know, the slavery, like there was maybe one paragraph about that and it didn't go that deep, but we take a trip to the Holocaust and see all of this and that. And even the amount of days that we have off just because it's a Jewish holiday, you know, different things like that I didn't understand growing up, that, you know, it seemed like I'm a child, so I'm not really looking into it that way. But you know, I didn't really pay much attention in the history class because my grandmother, when I get home, my grandmother has a history lesson about where she comes from and what she's gone through. And that's more so my history of understanding where our people come from. And dang it, but my
she's going
well saying is like I feel like I feel already separated from these other these other people, just because of where I come from and how I got to where I am now, as far as being independent with everything that I own, and everything that I've had to learn how to be able to just take that risk and jump out of that box of following, you know, what I was raised understanding in school and what my peers, my friends and people around me, you know, that would tell me certain things, you know. But I always had I was always directed, and that was because of the women that I grew up with. I didn't really have my father. I didn't have a male guidance like that. Of course, a lot of black males grow up, you know, more so with their moms.
Yes, sir.
You know, you got a drunk uncle at the house, maybe, or something, you know. But it's like, it's typical things that you know, black men grow up with and think that that's the way that we supposed to live, and there ain't no direction with us. But of course, that's what a woman, you know, really nurtures, that mindset. And my grandmother, thank God, like, you know, had kept me under her wing and made me independent in that way of knowing my black culture. So I feel like we are here, and we're able to separate ourselves. You know, it's just a mindset of being able to take that risk and not feel like you're wrong for not going with what they say and what they show us out here. You know what I'm saying? We have influencers that are black, that have money to invest in small black businesses if they wanted to, you know. But I feel like we're stuck in a mindset where it's like, oh, this white man is paying me, you know, this and that. I got a contract with them, so I got to stay with this. I got to stay stuck to this. Meanwhile, you got your own business built up. You got everything that they did. You know, they just, you know, they had the game running before that, and they were just running us. You know what I'm saying? Even now. So it's just being able to take that risk, you know, and it don't even turn it. It's not even a risk, you know, as far as just understanding we have that inner strength. So
yes, sir.
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. It's definitely crazy that Anne Frank thing though. That brought back memories.
Yeah. I hear you. But I was just gonna make just a little comment, especially when it comes to us being in their system or public school systems. I remember this was in 2008 when Obama was running and then got elected. Like I think I was a freshman, and it was funny because I think one day in class, like everybody was so excited to like stand for like the Pledge of Allegiance, and I was sat in my desk, and this was a history class, by the way. So like my teacher, I'll never forget it. His name was Mr. Ostrowski, and I didn't stand. I ain't even say it. And like he came over to me, of course, after it was done. But he was right. I could understand what he was saying, but he was just like, Trevor, I understand like why you refuse to sit down, but out of respect, could you please stand? I was like, all right, man. But it was okay. But we supposed to stand. But I don't pledge my allegiance, of course, to the flag, of course. But it was just a memory that was brought up when it comes to public school system. I don't know if anybody was a rebel back in the day. So
man,
clearly
I remember. I remember. Once I
back in them days.
I remember once I joined the nation.
Yeah.
Once I joined the nation, I would stand up, but I wouldn't put my hand across my chest. I really felt like I was rebellious act. Like it was like, yeah, I'm not doing this.
That's funny. It sounds like everybody, everybody had their little rebellious. Other than that, though, I don't feel like I was like rebellious at that point. Like, although I was raised in the nation, I feel like I became more Black when I went to college. So I was like, Pledge of Allegiance. That was it. That was the only thing I didn't really follow in high school.
What was like a beautiful thing, because me and Dear raised in the nation. What was like a beautiful thing, but also maybe sad, it wasn't really rebellious for us because we were just taught this is what you do and don't do. So our mom just told us, you don't pledge allegiance to a flag. You can stand up to show respect, but don't put your hand over your heart and don't say it. And for me, it was more me taking that in was fear-based, because I was in 3rd grade and I still remember this. She was big too. She was like a big white woman. She was wide and she was scary to me, but she was very mean. And I had skipped the 2nd grade into the 3rd grade. So she had it out for me from rip. And I'm a shy girl. I don't want to bother anybody. I'm just there to go to school. And this woman yelled at me, apparently, and my mom went down and handled her. But this woman yelled at me for not putting my hand on my heart and not saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And I remember being,
This is Shiloh?
No, this is at Beach Elementary. You were a baby. You were a baby.
I was in kindergarten.
A baby. Journey's
I remember it. I remember it.
But so she yelled at me in my face in front of the whole class for not doing it. And I remember I was so afraid I did it. I put my hand over my heart and then I finished saying it. And I told my mom. My mom went down there and handled that white woman.
Be mad
that wasn't
right
the
now.
first time she had to do that. But it's kind of wild because, I feel like Kyrie, like that was me. Like I know I'm told I'm doing something right. It feels right. And my mom set me up to be more of an independent, separated Black person. And then the white people, just in their nature, they want to see that slave in check. And the way that she addressed me as a little 3rd grade, 2nd grade age girl is like wild when I think back on it, that an adult would even approach a child like that and be so emotionally charged because of what her parents taught her, which is good for her. You know what I mean?
Baby.
Huh?
I said a big baby.
Yeah. Yes.
I had S.3. I had a science teacher. I forget his name. I don't know. It was some science class. I forgot his name, but he was like a veteran or something. I don't know what the hell he was, but he ain't play about that pledge, man. I remember one time this young boy, he was Black, of course. It wasn't like he was trying to be disrespectful, but he really didn't care. So he was just sitting in his seat when we had to say the pledge. Yo, I am not lying. that teacher, he picked up, you know, the little pointy thing that you use for the chalkboard, like when you're trying to point to something.
Okay,
He
sure.
picked that up like it was a freaking cane. He was walking over there to the boy desk to put him out of the class because he didn't stand. And I can remember just sitting back at the table like, what is wrong with him? He looked like an animal. Like, what is wrong with him? Because I couldn't understand why he was so mad about not standing up for the pledge. Like, the boy obviously was not paying attention. Like, he literally looked like he was out of there. Like, probably high or something. Like, he looked like he was out of there. And I was looking like, what is wrong with you? But that same sentiment, Tia, of like, as an adult, like, why are you yelling at some young person like that, child, whatever? Like, why handle your emotions?
They don't yell at their children like that.
Sure,
don't.
They don't, and
yell
they
at them.
Right.
Yo, that's real. It's sick because it's we watched Birth of a Nation recently. It was Matt's first time, but my second time. The not Birth of a Nation, the white film, but Birth of a Nation, the Nat Turner movie. Yeah. And that movie, man, watch it. Y'all got to watch it again or the first time if you haven't seen it. But that movie was powerful, but mostly I think about how it ended and how, of course, Nat Turner historically was a black man he was a preacher, and he started reading the Bible for himself and understanding the truth that was in the Bible, and recognized that white people are atrocious, horrible people, and he killed every white person in his sight and put together a rebellion. And of course, because of black people snitching, his rebellion was crushed, and he was killed and lynched, of course, in a horrible way, and his remains sold as souvenirs, etc. This happened in Norfolk, Virginia. And watching that movie, I was just thinking more towards the end of how they morphed. There was a little boy who was a snitch in the movie. The little boy was a snitch, and they showed him crying watching Nat Turner be lynched. And it morphed into that little boy growing up and fighting in the Civil War, not Civil War. Is that the right one? I think
it would have been the Civil War, yeah.
Civil War, yeah. So he grew up and he was fighting in the Civil War and, you know, essentially fighting for his freedom in the American army. You know, that whole idea. So it's kind of like Nat Turner in that portrayal that I saw deserved to die. He had to die. And the right way to fight for freedom is to fight in the war and fight on the right side of American history. That is always the message that I get from these movies and these, even when we do have discussions about slavery, it's the idea that we should fight, but we have to fight in the right way. We can't be on the offensive against white people. We shouldn't kill white people because that's mean, or, you know, that's hatred to speak poorly of white people, because there are some good white people. Not all Jews enslaved black people. There were some Jews, there were some white people who fought with us in civil rights. So it's like that idea frustrates the crap out of me, because it, number one, makes us to start questioning our heroes. Nat Turner is a hero. Nat Turner is a fearless black man who did what he had to do in the wake of the truth that he received. I don't care what he did. He killed white children, babies. He killed white women, white men. He killed them all. Slave owners, not slave owners. He killed them all. Because guess what? This was a system that he was under that he just awoke to. And that system taught him that white people are up here, they are God, and you are a piece of crap, and you deserve to be beat, you deserve to be a servant, because that is what God ordained for you to do. Literally, that is what the man was taught. So in that system where there's literally no way out, because he's in a country that we don't have anything of our own. We don't have our own land. We don't have our own way of living. In that system, his only thing to do was break out. He is a hero in my book. But I know in school, when his name is brought up, it's kind of like, oh, did he do it the right way? That's always the question. That's always the debate. Is it right that he killed white children? Is that fair? You know, that kills me. And I feel like we find ourselves in the same type of conversation nowadays. Like, should Kyrie have posted that link? Should he have vetted all the information in there? You know, is Ye wrong for using the word they? You know, are all Jewish people, you know, they don't all own the media. Come on.
Well, I mean, something came to mind when you say that. First off, I never saw that ending the way you did. I think that's interesting. You saw it that way. Because I saw it not necessarily saying we should be fighting in their way that they want us to fight, but I saw it as like, well, look at the consequence now. Like, you sold out your brother. Like to me, that movie was painted in a way where you empathize with Nat Turner and you empathize with the rebellion and you're for them, not so much to be against them in the end. I saw that transition to the Civil War more like, well, now you're fighting for this same enemy, still trying to get your rights. But not necessarily in a negative way, if that makes sense. But in terms of what you're saying, like, I was reading an article that was talking about how gaslighting was the number one search word for Merriam-Webster dictionary in 2022. And that's pretty much what that is. Like, we're always thought maybe we're the problem. Maybe I'm the one that needs to, you know, again, don't be an angry Black woman. Don't be dramatic. Suck it up. Black people are so resilient. We're good at dealing with problems, which is actually true. We are physically stronger than white people, and we are emotionally more resilient than white people. But how much longer do we need to be resilient and not free ourselves from the affliction that we're constantly in? So just in response to what you're saying, it's gaslighting. We've kind of been in we've historically been in a state of blaming ourselves, seeing white people as God, and seeing them as more correct than we are and more important than we are.
Right.
That's facts, Siri. Thanks for bringing that word in, because it's clear. I think we should go to the minister again on that note. Boom. Here we go. Perfect. So in this part, the minister is discussing how we handle each other in the public. So let me share my screen.
All right.
Life is bigger than a nice house and a nice car and a lot of bling bling. Life is bigger than an Oscar. Life is bigger than a belt. Life is bigger than something that says I am the best at what I do. I'm the most valuable player, or my team won. But as a people, we are losing. We cannot afford to lose any of you. You are our kith and our kin, our flesh and our blood. And so I wanted to say something to help us to come together rather than break apart. Because it's Ye and Kyrie today. But what they're doing to them is to make you, who are in the good graces of them, so you think. You see what we just did? Ye lost $2 billion in a few days. You might wonder, did he really have it? He lost that much that soon? You know when you signed a contract with him. I don't know what's in the contract, but you do. So evidently, Adidas and all the companies that Brother Kanye is signed to or was signed to, until Mr. Ari Emanuel told everybody just drop him. Beloved brothers and sisters, look, your day is soon coming. I'm asking you stop beating each other up in the public. Stop doing that. But of course, that's what the master wants us to do. There's a slave here that's getting out of place, and teach him a lesson. Beat him up. I'm saying to you, don't do that. Call your brother. Come and sit down with us. Tell us about this movie.
So in that clip, I wanted to highlight how he discussed the way that they use us against each other. They put us in the position where we rely on their money, we rely on their jobs, and then they use us against each other in order to tear us down. And I wanted to speak on that fact, how we speak about each other publicly. What are your thoughts about how perhaps specifically speaking about Shaq, LeBron, speaking about Pusha T, what's his name, Noriega? What are your thoughts about how we address each other in the public in the wake of that Jewish money pushing us?
I think that it's a sign and lack of true brotherhood, sisterhood, respect for one another. And it's also a sign of who's controlling who has puppet strings on who. And with that, personally, I've learned that there's a mark of maturity that comes with, or that shows, when you can have a problem and you go directly to the person you have a problem with and resolve that issue personally, as opposed to telling everybody about the issue but that person, and then it get back to them, and now it's a different problem on top of what should have originally been a conversation. So in my personal life, I'm learning that, right? Like, legitimately. And it, with this controversy, it made me look at how we deal with one another and the lack of knowledge, or the limited knowledge that we have to even be able to deal with one another, which makes it difficult to not only see it, but to also be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just wish that I don't even want to say that. I don't wish that, because it'll happen, inshallah, that we will one day be able to look at one another. Matter of fact, you know how they say, where is the morals and values? Y'all know when they say, like, there used to be a street code that no mother and no women and children get killed in the street. Whereas nowadays, women and children also get killed in the street. So that type of mentality, that type of moral ground or sound in our community, which has been lost over a period of time by design, when that comes back, I think we can do a little better.
Absolutely.
Brother Trey?
Yes. When it comes to, and like the minister said, when it comes to, he doesn't want to see us dealing with each other in public in that manner. And I will say, I agree, because when we deal with each other in the public, it seems like a never-ending session of finger pointing that goes nowhere. And there's never a third party. There's never an elder, especially on TV and things like that. Because when it came to Kyrie, you had Shaq, you had Charles Barkley, You had Skip Bayless and others. Um, I said, why is everybody calling him an idiot? And it was hurt. It was hurtful because I just thought a brother that's with the character that Kyrie has, to speak on him in such a way was insulting. I'm like, this man hasn't done anything to you all personally. I mean, you all are following a script, and unfortunately, that type of money that these brothers are making comes with strings attached to them, and it's a contract. That's why it's called a contract. I mean, that prefix "con" isn't necessarily something of good meaning or merit. So I'm like, uh, it's very terrible. And of course, the minister said, that part when he said, teach him a lesson. And of course, he's speaking about the enemy and about when we, quote unquote, get out of line. I mean, you are to be put in your place as a Negro. You are still seen as a nigga in their minds. So I'm like, I said, the brother got in quote unquote trouble just for posting a link. And really, I said, why don't you go after Amazon? They the ones that posting it. And they refuse to remove it still to this day. So I'm like, but they really owe Kyrie back pay money. So I ain't there.
It's all a money game, man. It's all control at the end of the day. Regardless of who, like, everybody's concerned about, the more money they have, the more control and more influence they can put on people, and everybody got a higher, it just raised their ego, Most of the people at the top is just greedy in a way, you know what I'm saying? They're not thinking for anybody else that works for them, underneath them like that. So I feel like it's just an ego game for them.
Big time. Yes. Yeah. That's where they just like the teachers, the teacher Breesaw and the teacher that attacked me in that way. They just get these tantrums and come hard, and all you see is their tantrum, and you forget, because of all those charged emotions, you forget about the injustice that's happening to the student. Because the student didn't do anything. The student is seeking truth. The student is trying to be autonomous, attempting to become a knowledgeable person and act in that. But they just come with the tantrum, and all of a sudden we have to address the tantrum and the emotion and the tears of white people. Like I've said multiple times around this, I'm tired of having to address white tears. Right. That's all it is. White tears. There is no history that they can point to of Black people abusing and subjugating and killing Jewish people and killing white people. There is no history. That's not in our nature to do that. Absolutely. When we could have done that, we didn't kill them. We just ran them from among us and allowed them to do what they wanted to do in their own land, in the caves and hillsides of Europe, which is, they were able to build up to who they are today. So shout out to them. But they address us as if we're going to do the same exact thing to them that they have done to us. And that's not even in our nature to want to do that. Right. And then we get so caught up in trying to prove to them, hey, we don't hate you. We don't hate you. We just want some justice. Man, like I'm trying to learn for myself. Like we don't need to prove anything to them, because that's just gaslighting. That's just what they use in order to keep us caught up in trying to cave to them and cater to them, which is in our nature, instead of building up for ourselves and being one with our brother. Like we don't, they're like you said, Brother Trey, that's wild that they would sit there and call Kyrie an idiot like that so much, when this brother has done nothing but be like positive in the NBA in his public image. Like he hasn't had a stain on his public image at all. Like he's just been, chill, positive, donating, being there for causes, trying to stand in his own right. And we ain't forget about how they did him with the vaccines, because they did him dirty with that as well. But like you said, he's owed back pay and he's getting it.
No, Dang, what was I about to say? What was I about to say? Oh yeah, when they told him like that apology wasn't good enough, like it wasn't good enough and all of that, like like it's just showing like right in front of us. But also with that, I don't mean to backtrack, but like what happened with that girl and how they really like broadcast black people in such a disgusting way. Like they really that they're able to put like all the negative images and everything that we've come from, or that things that happen to us, and they just portray us in a horrible way. And like that just more and more, that's a fuel black people to understand more and more that they're just doing it right in your face. Like you don't need to necessarily go to these people, you know what I'm saying? Like you have a community of black people that like we should be able to help one another, you know what I mean? Just our own people, rather than going to them and thinking that they're our savior. Or I know like some of us work a 9 to 5 and working under a boss like that, but you could still stand firm on who you are, you know what I mean?
I bear witness to that.
Mm-hmm.
You just reminded me, Matt, when the minister said, and it was another time, I think he was sitting in front of his fireplace. He was talking about how whenever you try to show your greatness, I think it's when he talked to the church, something, but whenever you show your greatness to the white people on the job, I forgot what it was, but like they don't want you to show your greatness. So actually, you can't be yourself, or else they try to stomp you out. Put you back in a safe position.
Yeah.
But the only thing, like when you were talking to, the minister's words, telling us not to argue in the public and to unite, and how we can't afford to lose a single one of us. I don't really know how to respond to that. Like I think he said it, like, don't do it. It is annoying. I know the one thing I can't stand is like every time a black man does something, we're so happy to talk about how bad this black man is to do this thing. And it's just like Brother Trey said, it's like pointing a finger. It's not really solving anything. Even if the man did do something wrong, I think probably because I've listened to the minister, I've always seen it as like, why are we doing this happy in the public? But anyway, what really came to mind is something that I was reading in Fall of America. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, we must unite at all costs. Once united, we must stand fully packed as a wall against injustice. If your brother does not want to unite with you, then you must teach him, cajole him, urge him, and persuade him. Teach him, cajole him, urge him, and persuade him. These are like strong words. By all methods available, until he realizes that he too must give his all on the altar of justice. For what if 10 million of us die in the process? The remaining 7 million or more of us will enjoy freedom, justice, and equality. So like even looking at my own way of thinking and the way I respond to things, I feel like I kind of did the opposite of what the minister told us. When I heard Shaq come out against Kyrie, it was like, like, screw you, Shaq. Why are you coming in like that? But that's not what we're supposed to do. Those words that he used, like cajole them, urge them, persuade them by all methods available. It just shows me I gotta put my mind there. Like I want to unite with my brothers. It doesn't matter pretty much in that case what their opinion is, unless it goes against my religion or it's like Satan thinking. Get that brother on your side and love them. And like you said, your job is to give them the word. You can't change their heart, but do all you can.
Ira, could you send me that quote? Because that's a good reminder.
Yes, ma'am. I'll send you a picture after this is over.
Okay.
I thank you, dear, for that. And that's a powerful quote. But my question for us to think about, and I'm thinking about it too, is how do we do that? Like, how do we actually do that in the wake of how our people are, and perhaps in the wake of how we are as well personally, and getting emotional about certain situations? Because I know some stubborn people who don't say they don't care, or they're not going to change their minds. How do you urge and persuade and cajole those of us who are like that?
Yeah, I think that and I've been kind of like, you really got to test yourself, and you really have to overcome yourself emotionally to do it. Because if you allow your emotions to get in the way of what it is you're trying to do, or whatever the main goal is, which in this instant would be, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, to teach your people, it's very hard. And Tia, I think I've given you an example with my own sister. It is hard, but it also makes you take a look at yourself and be like, okay, what is this? It's kind of like what Dear talked about early on about that throat, like you getting choked up in your throat when you defending the truth, or when you're trying to tell somebody the truth about a thing, even when they don't want to hear it. It's that same type of experience. However, it is you also having to look at yourself and be like, okay, you just got to attack it at all sides. I was listening to the Final Call Radio, and Dr. Ava talked about a psychologist named Dr. something, and she said that in his research he found that the white man says that there's two responses to things, that may be frightening or just whatever the case, but the responses were fight or flight. He said that the original man has multiple options and avenues to go about solving a problem. And that's obviously because we come from God, and he is limitless in his being able to do things, period, being it is. But saying that to say, no wonder why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would say you have to exhaust those things, cajoling, urging, and the rest that Dear listed. But when you take a look at yourself and you figure out, okay, let me really get beside myself, or at least humble myself, or deny myself enough to be able to step into the mindset of where this person is coming from. And I'm only saying this because I literally had to do it with my sister. I'm like really trying to exhaust the options of how I could get this across to her. I even went back to our childhood in certain examples. I dealt with relationships. Like, it was just so many ways. And I felt like in that I was just being tested about, okay, what can you do with this? Like, you have a goal here. What can you do? And it's the same way in business. It's the same way in marriage. When we have to attack different problems and find solutions if we want a thing to come about or into fruition. Like, you really gotta jump through loops and hoops, and that be the kind of work that we don't want to do, and myself included, because I'm gonna tell you, sometimes when I be listening to my own self, not a lie, when I be listening to my own self, I'll be like, listen, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. But it's that overcoming of your own self. And when you say, like, how can you urge this person or cajole this person when, you know, we as black people, we hard-headed, stiff-necked, and rebellious all the way through. So that's what I would say we would have to do. Overcome our own selves, especially and particularly emotionally, because that be a lot of times what we reacting based off, straight off emotion, not nothing else but it. You know, the engrams that we have and the things that we carry in our own trails of our life based upon what we have been through in previous situations, etc., which is in totality our perception of things, regardless of if somebody's trying to tell us the truth or not.
Thanks.
I love that response.
Just real quick, because Bree touched on literally something that I was taking note of. It was a piece on Final Call Radio. I don't know what lecture it was, but the minister was speaking about how he is so empathetic and he feels each and every one of us so much that there was a moment where he was actually getting physically sick and he didn't know why. And then he realized it's because when people were telling him about sickness, or he was touching or around someone who was sick, he would actually physically feel what that person went through. That's how powerful his empathy is. And I related to that. I'm a life coach, and I related to that because I am empathetic, not that strongly, not yet, or that I've noticed, you know. may Allah guide me there if it be. But I'm so empathetic. Somebody can walk in the room and I'm feeling I can know what their emotions are. I can know that perhaps the type of person they are without meeting them. And I was reflecting on this in terms of being a life coach. And Bree just said, deny yourself. That stuck out to me. And something that I wrote in reflecting and writing my notes was that as a coach, I need to work on I'm kind of like a conduit, like an electrical conduit to somebody who perhaps is spiritually blocked themselves. So I'm kind of that plug or not plug, but the adapter to assist them in receiving the charge that they need in order to help their lives. I wrote, so in that way, I can't personalize what's happening. I can't try to make those feelings that I'm feeling, they're not mine and they don't belong to me. But the only way that I will be able to allow that process to happen without me getting emotional and personalizing it is to ask Allah to guide me in being that conduit. So I need to deny myself, stop making it about me, but ask Allah to guide me and to help me be that conduit. So I'm not taking on what is somebody else's to make me emotionally charged, you know? That just made me think that was powerful. I'm sorry, Brother Trey. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that everybody from Brother Matthew, you, Sister Tia, Sister Qadirah, Sister Breonna, everybody gave a good examples and a template of what turning the other cheek really means. And of course, at least the way, and maybe the Christian theology teaches turning the other cheek kind of goes like physically, but it's really when it comes to us turning on, when it comes to us and our people, when it comes to them, when they have a bad word to say about you or something like that. For an example, you don't return evil for evil in that aspect. For an example, I know back in the day, FOI used to have a pipe squad, things like that, and people used to get physically beaten with metal pipes. And I know the minister talked about that and how he didn't participate in that and really stop the men from beating up others who would just say anything. Because if we were to do that, you would exhaust yourself about anybody, because it's not about instilling fear. Our job is not to beat the savage, it's to teach the savage at the end of the day. And like how you said, how do we do it? We really just have to lead by example and put into practice what we say we believe in. So I mean, like with me, like it started with me personally, because I know like when Shaq and everybody else said those certain things about Kyrie, like I was angry. I wanted to go at him. Or like when how recently when Ye was on InfoWars and he was kind of talking about Dave Chappelle in a way that I didn't like, but I wanted to go off on that. But I was just like, no, I'll just hold off on, brother. I really just leave him alone due to our instructions. So we really have to carry showing mercy towards one another into practice. So it's not about, I mean, we could fight physically forever, but what about, like Sister Qadirah said, what the messenger said in I forget the book that you quoted, sister.
It was the Fall of America, brother.
Yes, in the Fall of America, that we have to teach our brothers, so that we all may enjoy freedom. I'm paraphrasing, but that was all. I'll just stop there.
That's real. That's real. What you said about our instructions, I think that's the power that a lot of us young Black people we forego because of our own individual. We've gotten wrapped into individualism, which I think there's a time for it. I've gone through it myself, of searching for knowledge in your own way, separate from a group of people and separate from an organization, especially one that we grew up with. What you were saying about our instructions that we received as members of the Nation of Islam, I think that's so critical to speak to why organizations are so important right now. And if our goal as Black people is Black unity, we and this perhaps is an entirely new conversation, but it's something that's been on my heart a lot just for myself. But if our goal is Black unity, we have to start at the root. You know what I mean? Me being raised in the Nation of Islam and going out into the world to find different forms of knowledge, I'm being brought back into the Nation of Islam. And there's a reason for that. And we can easily find issues with leadership. We can easily find issues with organizations. We organize religion, as everybody hates nowadays, especially when we're Black. There are, of course, issues in there because those organizations are run by people, and those organizations are run by people with issues. And we all, like you said, Brother Trey, turning the other cheek for each other. We all have our issues that we need to address and confront within ourselves. But what you stated about the instruction we receive helping you to hold your tongue, or as Minister Ishmael said this morning, tame your tongue, so that we don't put ourselves in a more difficult position or in a position to be used as a weapon against our brother or sister, is important. And sometimes wisdom can only come from a group of people, or wisdom can only come from people who are wiser than us. It's not going to come from learning from our mistakes. So I just wanted to point that out, because that was a key point that you made to me, that for me, it stuck out to me, that the organization of the Nation of Islam saved you from perhaps saying something and attacking our brother Ye. And it's done the same for me as well, especially with, things going on lately. Just the instructions we receive protects us, and it protects us from being a weapon and a tool of Satan against each other, and it aids in our unity. So I think that's very important, and perhaps another podcast episode.
If I could just throw my last sentence into it, I think it's time now. But I totally, you guys are feeding me in what you're saying, Sister Brianna, Brother Trey, and Sister Atia. I agree with everything you've said. And then I guess I would just add personally, I kind of hear you guys already saying it in terms of saying follow instruction, but I'll put another word on it, keep studying. Because I know for me, I'm always low energy or not doing my best with people and treating people as, I don't treat people as well or respond to people as well when I'm not studying the Quran or the other scriptures given to us by the messenger, which are always giving us the instruction of how to act, how to respond to our difficulties. And one that keeps popping up is in the Quran, where it says, if a false imputation, we're talking about people, if a false imputation from the devil afflicts thee, seek refuge in Allah. So it doesn't matter what somebody's saying about you, or what somebody may think about you. Seek refuge in Allah if it's not true, and keep walking.
And to add to that, dear, that quote in the Holy Quran that says, if an unrighteous or a disbeliever brings news to you, then you should look into it before you decide based upon what they have told you already. And a lot of what the enemy brings to us totally and completely shows how true that one phrase or verse in the Holy Quran is, because we don't be looking into it. We'll see a headline and run for it, run straight to it and be like, I saw this on X, Y, and Z. Whole time didn't even read the article. Don't know everything is said in there. You only got half of the part, and that was mixed with falsehood. So yes, definitely studying. I totally agree.
I'm guilty of that one too.
Same.
Me three.
I did want to ask this final question, and if we all want to touch base on it, that would be great. And I'm going to close out with a final clip of the minister as well, and what he closed with in his addressing of the Ye and Kyrie controversy. But the question I have is, where as Black people do we go? How are we moving forward from this right now?
Personally, I've been given my instructions. Whatever the minister says to do, that's what I'm doing. No more fighting in the public. It's time to unite.
Same. I would go with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that you get together with 7 like minds and get the business done. That's not verbatim, but that's the gist of it. So if you feeling some type of way about a thing and you know 7 other people or can find 7 other people to that's on that same track and path with you, regardless of what it may be, but you feel is good and best for you, then that's what you should do. The minister also instructed us at one point in time that, like, regardless of how you feel about religion or this and that belief, etc., when it comes down to the famine and a lot of the earthquakes and severe weather that's going to take some of us out, and you don't have no community to go to, that's going to be one of them things that you need to be a part of, regardless of which faith you choose. You're going to need to be a part of something that has some sense of community to be able to survive in the times that we're about to experience and are experiencing today. It might not be happening in America just yet severely or extremely, but we can see across the nation, across the world, where things are getting real and people are having to get together in packs and groups, etc., just to survive. So
Yeah,
that's what I think.
that was powerful. I agree. And as I said, there's going to just think about a time that may come where you have nothing in your own home to eat, no electricity, nothing. I mean, just nothing, man. Just think about having nothing. That's all I had to say. I mean, we just have to come together. Well, everybody here, we heard that a million times, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Got to come together. We got to get to work. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Where do we
Black
move
people
forward?
need to just stay awoke, stay aware, and if you have a family, you need to be able to, those that are educated within that family, just continue to be that producer for the family, as far as just a motivator towards understanding that spiritual side. And family is everything in my book. Like, that's important to have a guidance in there and a sense of direction for security, and understanding your spiritual is important, and your spiritual side, because that's what keeps your your confidence within yourself, so and keep God at the center of all things that you do.
I think when it comes to this question, I vibe with what everyone said, but what sticks out mostly for me is, I say this quote, I think every podcast, J. Cole said, "You can't change the world unless you change yourself." And for me, what I've gotten through the Ye and Kyrie controversy and just looking at everything on social media and me going through the emotions that I went through and experiencing it in my way, is that I need to study. Dira, you said it in your point. I need to study. I need to read. I need to reconnect with my love for knowledge that I've discovered within myself in my travels as a flight attendant, and also being an educator myself and going through my own education. And of course, with the Nation of Islam and how powerful the teachings have made me, and I've seen make other people. So I would say, moving forward, it's essential for me to continue to study, because what I study will give me the action necessary to take. Every time I look at a book, every time I open scripture, I get the action necessary to take, whether it's for me personally or for me and my purpose that I owe to serving God's will. So that for me is where to go and where to head. It's what led to me wanting to have this conversation rather than a conversation, let's just gossip about what's happening with Ye and Kyrie. I was, through study and through prayer, I was told that this is the conversation that needs to happen. It needs to be about the uplifting of our people and promoting the unity of all Black people, no matter what background they're coming from and no matter what their perspective is. It's time for us to buckle down and to become this solid fist together, because that's what we need. Like Brother Trey said, imagine when there's no electricity. We don't know about any controversy because we're not able to turn on the TV. But who is our community? Who is that group that we're going to go to in order to survive, right? Who is that group and what are we going to lean on? Who is the God that we're leaning on? What are we leaning on in ourselves when we're unable to read the Bible or the Quran? What are we going to do in that time? So for me, it's time to buckle down in my studies and who I am so I can be better for my daughter, so I can be better for myself, my people, my family. And through that study, the action is going to come. The action in terms of purpose in my career, etc., is going to come and it's going to happen because I will be better informed about what type of action to take rather than emotional reaction to everything. So that's where I'm at with it. But I, of course, do not want to close on my words. In respecting my greatest teacher, I want to close on the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as I started with the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in this clip, he's promoting unity. And before I close, because I won't say anything after, we could just stop recording and we'll go our separate ways and talk if we want to. But in closing out, before I play the clip, I want to thank everyone for coming on, sharing your perspective, sharing your heart, sharing your word, even if you didn't feel that informed, dear, as you said, but you were very informed. And I pray that this conversation can be inspiring to other people, spark other conversations, whether it be with us in a part 2, or whether it just be with someone else anywhere in the world. I believe that this was powerful, and I just am setting the intention that the idea and the emotion of Black unity, not emotion, but the mode of Black unity inspires people that listen to this. So I want to end on that note. Thank you all. And let's play this. Let me share my screen.
May Allah bless you. That listen, may Allah comfort you. May Allah give you strength to stand for truth and righteousness and unity. I close with this scriptural verse. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. To resist means to withstand. For nearly 40 years, I have withstood you. Everything you've said and done to hurt me and those with me, I'm here. I've withstood the action and the effect, and I remain undamaged or unaffected by what you do. You know, if I live, I'll soon be 90. You can't wait for me to die. But I can't die until Allah says so, not you. So as long as I'm alive, I'm not going to sit by and let you do what you're trying to do to our people and we say nothing. Thank you to all the brothers and sisters on social media who are standing up like the soldiers that they are. I just ask that you remember our brothers who were caught in the strange net. Why not let us release them? Don't beat them up. Let's release them from the prison of fear and ignorance. And you'll have all of them standing together. Then we all can pool our resources and be thankful for what we've been blessed to get by our association with members of the Jewish community. But we're not going to let you destroy us. We're not going to let you turn us into what will make us ashamed of ourselves. Let us unite, brothers and sisters. Let us declare our oneness with God first, and our oneness with each other as long as we are in the right. And if we drift and we are not in the right, we are family. Bring our people back to the table and straighten us out. May Allah bless you. Thank you for listening. Thank Allah for putting that spirit in me as I greet you in peace and the love and favor of God. I am your brother, and I love you more than life. I want to see us free. Come on, brothers and sisters. Let's stop nibbling at each other to the joy of an enemy, and let us confront with truth and then clasp hands in the unity of the brotherhood and watch God bless us to keep on growing and going up. But never let money be your God. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.